Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Today taking a look at Han Solo in his Hoth outfit from the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back Retro Collection line. This is currently a Walmart exclusive. No plans that I'm aware of to have these individually carded figures being made available at other online retailers, but I certainly hope so since I'm still looking for Boba Fett. As I believe most of you are aware by now, the design of the card is meant to look like the original vintage release. This one hits it pretty close. You still get the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back logo, Han Solo's name underneath, with just Hoth being listed, not Hoth outfit. Nice photo of Han Solo on Hoth. Very much like the original release. This time around the image is not blurry. Very nice, sharp, crisp image. You do get the Retro Collection sticker on there to let you know, well, it's part of the Retro Collection line. If those white worn edges printed on the side of the card were not enough to tell you that also. And then through the blister you do see the figure with his included accessory. On the back side, top part, it's just your brief description letting you know that the Star Wars Retro Collection was inspired by the 1980s figures. Below that in the red you get your listing of the other individually carded figures that are available for this 2020 line. And then the rest is legal information. And now looking at them out of the packaging, this is yet another figure that I don't have the original of, so I had to do some online researching for it. Same as the other figures in the retro line. Your fine lines of detail being done within the sculpt are a little bit softer than they were for the original release, and that's due to the way the figures were molded. Painting on the face this time around does lean a little bit more into the reddish pink color. The original seemed to have a yellow tint to it. I think somewhere between those two colors would have been a nice way to go. Maybe, you know, looking more like the Bespin Luke did. I'd say that is the one standout issue with this figure on its own. It's just very noticeable how red that face is. And in this case, I'd call him a sunburnt Han. Aside from that, I very much like the figure. I think for its time or what this figure represents, it is a pretty strong release for how Han looked wearing this outfit in the movie. I like the fur detailing within the sculpt around the top of the hood. Goggles has a nice black painting to it. That's all staying pretty much well within the lines, or the outline of the goggles I should say, and then even the painting for the eyes looks nice. Great blue color for the hood on top of the head, a little bit more of a glossy look to it in comparison to the rest of the outfit, and a smidge darker in tone than the rest of the coat also. And that's going to be another difference between the original release. Coat this time around I'd say is a couple shades lighter than the original release. And in case you're in the brown coat camp, then this is definitely the wrong color of coat. That aside, white painting around the collar for his scarf is looking pretty nice. And that stays pretty well around the collar of the coat as it goes around to the back of the neck. Detailing, as I mentioned earlier for the coat, while it is a little soft, you're still making out the pockets that are sculpted on the sides of each shoulder. The two pockets on the chest. Pretty decent painting for the white emblem on the top left side of his coat, and then even some nice white painting for the belt buckle. Gloves are looking pretty good. His right hand is sculpted to hold his blaster. His gloves are painted in what I would say is an off-white color, and by the photos that I saw online of the original release, they look to be a pretty nice bright white coloring, so a little shade difference there. Right side of his hip, I do like that they made an attempt to sculpt a holster sticking off his side. As you can tell, the coloring is done same blue as his coat. They even managed to put in a holster strap. None of this is functioning, but I do like the added dimension that it gives the figure. And then for the legs, you get that quilted pattern, along with some great detailing for the boot. Aside from that tan color, which is a little bit lighter in color than the original release, certainly not getting any other special painting or other, you know, weathering and stuff. None of those features that you would get on today's figures. And since this is meant to mimic the original vintage release, I'm certainly not going to hold it against this figure for not having those features. As far as articulation, head spins all the way around, both arms rotate at the shoulders, and then the legs come straight out, and nothing really back to speak of. As for accessories, he does come with a single black blaster. This is the same one that was used for the Luke Skywalker Bespin release, and I'm sure that was the case way back in the day. Difference this time around is it's black and not molded in blue plastic. Detailing to it is pretty decent, I think, for the time. You can certainly make out the scope just leaning off the side of the top, and along with those couple of knobs that are underneath the scope, mounting it to the side of the weapon, and then the rounded bits at the end of the barrel. You do get just a few faint lines of texturing being done on the handle of the blaster. And with that slight bend sculpted into the elbow, I think he has a much more natural pose holding this weapon than a lot of the other figures for the original line. And it fits in his hand very well. I'm not having any problems with this falling out. So overall for me, I really do like this figure as a vintage figure and as a retro collection release. And I like the aesthetics of it. And as a reproduction of that original figure, I very much like what they did here. I'm very much willing to give it a pass that the lines for the detailing are just a little bit softer than they were for the original figures. On this one in particular, what I'm not liking is just how reddish in color that face is. And besides, since I didn't have the original figure, I'm glad this one was chosen. So with that said, that wraps this one up. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.